Let's moving further abroad now, and a fire has destroyed thousands of voting machines in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The country heads to the polls, as you will remember, for the presidential elections, and that's under 10 days' time. In fact, to be exact, it's going to happen on the 23rd of this month. Now, government officials there saying the incident won't disrupt the voting, and the machines will be replaced very swiftly. The December 23rd polls will be the end of President Joseph Kabila's 2 terms in office. Now, some opposition leaders say Kabila is responsible as he seeks to delay the vote. We're joined now by international political expert, and that's Dr. Charles Senkala, who's going to give us some analysis of what is going on in the DRC ahead of this election. I want to start with the incident that I think happened, I think it was on Wednesday, if not yesterday, where an opposition supporter as young as 17 years old is shot dead, allegedly, by a police officer. And this was ahead of an opposition leader coming to campaign in that area. Also, we've had clashes in other areas, such as Kalemi, for example, ahead of the opposition candidate Martin Fayulu, who was going there to also campaign. Are these early indications, in your view, that we may possibly have an election that is not free and fair?
Yeah, thank you very much, Tolly, for having me, and good day to your viewers. You know, we have to understand how Democratic Republic of Congo has been where it is at the moment. We're talking about the 17-year-old, children below 5 years who has been killed with the mothers in Bujimai, Katanga province, and other parts of the Democratic Republic of Congo. You know, the country itself, since it's allegedly regaining high independence in 1960, has been always through the turmoil of power transmission, which has been a bloodshed. Nowhere at any given time as the peoples of Democratic Republic of Congo has ever enjoyed peace and harmony into their country. You know, you might be aware that South Africa must have been sending many times of troops for peace keeping mission and all other things there, nations and whatever. The civil war there has been an ever-ending situation. You know, it's a country also which has been in a bad situation where 2 presidents, incumbent presidents, were assassinated. If you talk about Patrice Lumumba in 1960-61, he was assassinated. Also, recently in 2001, where the caretaker leader now at the moment, you know, took over the power. So also those transition has been a bloodshed of all the continuity. And I think the past 10 to 17 years of President Kabila, you know, presiding on the country has actually fueled the situation in the fact that he has even delayed at the time of announcing his intention to rerun for another term. You know, these are the things which makes the people not to be in a good position, you know, and at the end of the day, they resort to violence.
And very important for election observers, Dr. Senkala, the reports suggest that the voter turnout will be about 40 million voters that are going to possibly go out and vote. With this pre-election violence, are we likely to see that voter turnout dwindle from that figure that is bandied about of about 40 million people?
Of course, of course. I mean, it's always like that. It's not that autonomous that the registered voters all go to vote. There's various reasons. And also the environment there is actually not conducive. We have talked about the banning of the machinery which they have been introduced as a voting mechanism into the country. You know, in Africa we've got a challenge where we do not understand this technology, you know, and I think we must learn as people in Africa, if we have to improve on our democracy, that we slowly fuse in the technology into our system so that people, they can understand.
But opposition parties, and I'm sorry to cut in, opposition leaders are saying that the introduction of these machines, I think they're calling them touchscreen
voting machines, yes.
These were the ones that were burnt inside the warehouse in the capital, Kinshasa. They're saying that this is actually an invitation for fraud. How would you respond?
Because, you know, we're talking about a country which has got about 70 to 78% of illiteracy. You know, for you to teach them how to vote using those touch screens is difficult, you know, apart from the normal conventional way of voting where you should just look at your party and put a cross there. So I was with the view that in Africa we start a transition where we start fusing them into by-elections so that people they can get away of it. To them, the people in Democratic Republic of Congo, like any other places, we tried that in Zimbabwe also, it brought violence because people, they don't know how to use them. You know, so this is why they are protesting that we're going to be robbed of our vote because we don't know how that touch screen is going to work. You know,
and that leads me to the next question, therefore, that if opposition leaders are already sounding the alarm around a possible fraud in this election, are we likely to hear an opposition saying this election has been stolen?
Of course, they are already, even in the international community, they have already flagged it that they won't see, I think what they will see is coming out from the fire, from the frying pan into the fire, because all these has accumulated, and the burning of one of the warehouses, you know, which was stocking this machinery, already they have picked up that one of the opposition leader was involved into this, and they're investigating. And to the information which I have is that even the police, the state police was guarding that has been arrested. So these are some of the things and issues which are contradicting itself. And if you must remember also the depicted candidate by the ruling party at the moment, you know, is holding sanctions by the EU. You know, they're holding flying sanctions in the European Union. You know, so it's a bit fragile, though we have the belief that the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo, they have had enough of this violence. They all want to work together. You know, we've seen one of the opposition political party being found and supported by a lot of political parties to make a pact, you know, to challenge the one who's been depicted there. So we only hope that, you know, the violence is reduced and that people start talking about issues of governance. They have seen a lot of bloodshed. It's a resource-rich country, you know, which is about 4 times the size of France. You know, if they have to develop and do the minerals which are there, it can feed the whole Africa. You know, what is in their land which God has blessed them to.
Dr. Sankala, as we wrap up our conversation, there are 21 candidates vying for the top job, which is that of, you know, president trying to replace President Joseph Kabila. What's your educated guess on who the likely successor is going to be, if, of course, we have an election that at least goes ahead and there's counting and, you know, an election that ultimately produces a result? You see,
as also a leader of opposition political party in Zambia, you know, I've got a view that as people who are in the opposition, sometimes we must look at the agenda. What do we want to achieve? You know, and I think what was supposed to be my view is for them to sit down as opposition political party. What is our objective to do to our country? Are we trying to fight to take out the regime of Kabila so that we can start on a new book? And how do we do it? If we go in 20 as political parties, are we not going to split the votes? How can we sit down? That's why I even said that one of the opposition political parties has been found to be supported. So there's at least some unity going there. But also, you know, we only hope that the people, they make the correct choice, that which is going to last, and that they must start working towards building and developing the Democratic Republic of Congo. You know, you might be aware that Democratic Republic of Congo is the only country in Africa which produces mass refugees across the whole world.
And yet the contradiction there is that country is so rich.
It's so rich. I'm telling you, you and me, we're supposed to be working there to get those 6 figures of salary.
All right.
You know, but, you know, our only hope and prayer that the people and the international community, they help the Democratic Republic of Congo so that the country can be on the right track, you know, as an example with the rest of the African states.
All right, Dr. Charles Sankala, thank you very much for your analysis, giving us his take on the upcoming elections in the Democratic Republic of Congo.